He hadn't felt human in 15 years. Every night, same corner table, same silence, same staff who treated him like furniture. They feared him, pitied him, never spoke to him directly. And Kang Dae-jung let them, because being the most powerful man in the room still couldn't buy him one thing he actually wanted. Someone who saw him as a person instead of a problem. Then a baby escaped his playpen, waddled straight past every terrified server, planted himself in front of the most dangerous man in the building, and lifted his tiny hands. One sign. 4 letters. Friend. Dae-jung hadn't moved in 30 seconds. His chopsticks were still frozen halfway to his mouth, because in 15 years of eating alone in a room full of people, nobody, not one person, had ever looked at him and signed instead of spoken. The cleaning lady came running, unapologizing, reaching for her son. She was absolutely certain she was about to get fired. She had no idea her toddler had just changed 3 lives forever. The restaurant seemed to stop breathing. Dae-jung just stared at Tendai like the baby had spoken a language from another world, because in a way, he had. Tendai giggled and signed again, messier this time, but still clear. You. Friend. And then the man did something Zola had never seen in 3 months of working here. He set down his chopsticks, lifted his own hands, and signed back. Hello, friend. Tendai's whole face lit up like sunrise. He wiggled hard, bouncing on his feet, delighted beyond reason that this stranger understood him. Zola finally found her legs and rushed over, breathless and terrified. She positioned herself where the man could see her face clearly. Something she'd learned from the deaf children at the community center back home. I'm so sorry, sir. I'm so sorry. He just ran. I only looked away for 1 second, please. I'm very sorry. She was already reaching for Tendai, ready to get fired, ready to pack up and leave before she caused more trouble. But the man wasn't looking at her. He was still staring at Tendai like the baby had just performed a miracle. His hands moved again, asking Tendai a question. What's your name? Tendai tried to sign it, got it all wrong, and laughed at himself. Zola helped him shape his small hands properly. Tendai. The man's hands moved with a grace that took her breath away. My name is Dae-jung. Zola finally understood what she was seeing. This man, this terrifying owner everyone avoided, was deaf, and her son had just walked up to him and signed like it was the most natural thing in the world. I'm Zola, she said, speaking clearly and facing him directly. From Zimbabwe. I clean and work in the kitchen. Tendai learned signing at a community center back home. There were deaf children, and he loved playing with them. I didn't think he'd remember. We've been here 4 months, and nobody signs. I do, Dae-jung said simply. His voice sounded careful, like someone who'd spent years training it to sound right without being able to hear it. But when his hands moved through the air, he looked free. Tendai signed friend about 17 more times, absolutely delighted. Dae-jung gestured to the empty chair across from him. Sit. Please. Zola knew she should get back to work. She knew the other servers were watching with wide eyes. She was probably shocked that anyone would dare sit with him. She knew this was dangerous in ways she didn't fully understand yet, but something about this moment felt important. So she sat, making sure to position herself where Dae-jung could see her face. And for the first time in 15 years, Kang Dae-jung didn't eat dinner alone. 3 months later, the man's hand was already on Tendai's arm when Zola screamed. Let go of him! She lunged forward, grabbing her son's other arm, and for 3 terrible seconds, they were playing tug-of-war with a 2-year-old baby in the middle. Tendai started crying, his little face twisted in confusion and fear. People in the park turned to look. The man saw them staring and let go, stepping back with his hands raised like he'd done nothing wrong. Sorry. I thought he was lost, he said in Korean, backing away fast. But Zola had seen what he mouthed right before he grabbed Tendai. She'd watched his lips form the words clear as day, even though her Korean was still rough around the edges. Daejung's kid. The man disappeared into the evening crowd before anyone could stop him. Zola scooped up Tendai, her hands shaking so bad she could barely hold her phone to call the police. Then she texted the one person who would understand what just happened. Someone tried to grab Tendai. We're at the park. Police are here. 3 months earlier, that night at Table 7 had changed everything. But now Zola understood the cost of befriending a man like Daejung, and the price was higher than she'd ever imagined. They talked for 20 minutes. Well, Zola talked, watching his eyes follow her lips. Daejung mostly listened and signed with Tendai, who refused to let this new friend ignore him for even a second. The baby brought him a napkin, very serious, signing, "Help." Daejung took it like it was made of gold. "Thank you." When Zola finally said she had to get back to work, Daejung did something that made her stomach flip with worry. He wrote his phone number on a napkin. "If you need help with childcare or anything, text me." "Sir, I couldn't." "That's very kind. But I couldn't." "You could." She took the napkin because saying no felt impossible. The whole walk back to the kitchen, she kept thinking, what just happened? Chef Park grabbed her the second she came through the door. "Are you insane? Do you know who that is?" "The owner." Zola had heard whispers, but nobody ever said his name out loud. "That's Kang Daejung. He owns this restaurant and 6 others. People are terrified of him. And you just let your baby run up to his table?" Tendai didn't know any better. "Well, you're lucky he didn't get angry. Very lucky. Now get back to work and keep that child in the back room." But 2 days later, Zola was standing beside Table 7 again during the dinner rush, her heart pounding. She waited until Daejung looked up at her before speaking. "I'm sorry to bother you, but you said I could text if I needed help." Daejung's eyes focused on her lips as she spoke. "I did. What do you need?" The words came out in a rush, and she forced herself to slow down so he could read her lips. "A job. A different job. Cleaning and kitchen work is too hard with Tendai, and Chef Park is kind. But the pay is very little. You said anything, so I'm asking. Do you have work I could do? Cleaning, organizing, anything where maybe I could have Tendai with me sometimes." She hated asking. Hated it. But her sister Rudo was trying to finish university back home, and their parents were dead, and the money Zola sent was never enough. Daejung put down his chopsticks. He gestured for her to sit, then pulled out his phone and typed something, turning it to show her. "I have a proposal. Listen to the whole thing before you answer." Zola nodded, her throat tight. He switched between signing and typing on his phone, showing her the words. "I need a personal assistant, someone to manage my schedule, handle my correspondence, and organize my office. The pay is triple what you make now. You can bring Tendai to work. There's a private office where he can play." Her eyes went wide. She spoke carefully, facing him. "Sir, I don't have experience with that kind of work." He typed again. "I'll train you, but I have one requirement." "What requirement?" He signed as he typed the words on his phone. "You both keep signing, around me. I want regular people who sign just to communicate, not for business, just to talk." Understanding hit her. She signed as she spoke. "You're deaf." "Yes, but you speak so well. You read lips." "I didn't realize." He typed rapidly. "I was taught to hide it my whole life, pretend I could hear. But when Tendai signed to me, it was the first time in 15 years someone saw that part of me and thought friend instead of broken." Zola's heart squeezed. She looked at Tendai, who was falling asleep against her shoulder, then back at this man who was offering her more money than she'd ever made. She spoke slowly, clearly. "What kind of business do you run? Chef Park never says your name, but everyone's afraid of you." Smart question. Dangerous question. But necessary. Dae-jung met her eyes, then typed. Some of my businesses are normal, some are not. I need you to understand that before you accept. She signed and spoke. Are you a good man or a bad man? He typed slowly. I don't know anymore. I'm trying to be better than my father was, but I'm not good. Honest answer. Brutal but honest. Zola appreciated that more than a lie. If I work for you, will I have to do bad things? Never. Will Tendai be safe? He typed with certainty. Safer than anywhere else in this city. I promise. Zola looked at her sleeping baby. Sock thought about the money she could send Rudo. Thought about having a real job instead of scrubbing vegetables in a hot kitchen while her son sat in a corner. I have conditions. He gestured for her to continue, his eyes on her face. I work for you. I help you. But I don't ask about the business I shouldn't know. You don't involve me in anything illegal. I'm here to work and take care of my son. That's all. He nodded and signed. Agreed. And if I ever feel unsafe, I leave. No questions, no problems. You can leave whenever you want. She held out her hand. Then yes. His grip was firm when he shook her hand. He typed one more thing. Start Monday. If you're already hooked by this story, wait until you see what happens next, because things are about to get very complicated very fast. Monday morning, Zola arrived at an office building in Gangnam carrying Tendai and a bag of toys. A woman named Miss Cho, about 60 years old with sharp eyes, showed them to a private office. Zola stopped in the doorway and stared. There was a desk with a computer, filing cabinets, everything she expected. But in the corner sat a soft rug with cushions, a box of toys, and a bookshelf with picture books in English, Korean, and Shona. You did this? She asked Dae-jung, who was standing by the window. She made sure he was looking at her before she spoke. Tendai needs space to play. I had it delivered Saturday. Nobody has ever been this kind to me. The words slipped out before she could stop them. Dae-jung looked uncomfortable, like he didn't know what to do with gratitude. He signed, Everyone deserves kindness. Zola signed back. Or not even you? That made him pause, made him actually think about it. Finally, he pulled out his phone and typed. We should start with the basics. Computer login, filing system, my calendar. They spent the morning going through everything. Dae-jung had set up a system that worked for him. Important messages came through text or email, video calls instead of phone calls. A special alert flashed when someone was at the door. Everything designed around not needing to hear. Zola took notes, asked questions, and learned fast. Tendai played quietly with his new toys, occasionally bringing blocks to show Dae-jung, always making sure to sign so his new friend would understand. At lunch, food arrived from somewhere, enough for all three of them. They ate by the window, and Zola realized this was nice. Weird, but nice. When her new boss barely talked out loud, but his hands never stopped moving when Tendai demanded his attention. She positioned herself across from him, where he could see her face clearly. Can I ask you something? Yes. Why are people afraid of you? Even Miss Cho seems nervous around you. Dae-jung put down his chopsticks and pulled out his phone, typing. Because I inherited my father's position in our family organization. In that world, fear keeps you safe. What world is that? He typed more. One you shouldn't have to understand, but you'll see pieces of it. Men who don't look friendly coming to meetings. Conversations I'll ask you not to mention. Money moving in ways that don't make sense. Zola spoke carefully, making sure he could see her lips. Are you a criminal? Direct question. No dancing around it. He typed one word. Yes. What kind? His fingers moved across the phone screen. The kind who inherited something I didn't choose and can't escape. My father built an empire on money, power, and fear. When he died, it came to me. I've tried to make it less cruel than he did, but it's still built on broken rules. Tendai dropped a napkin and signed, "Uh-oh." Zola picked it up automatically, her mind working through what Daijun just told her. "Do you hurt people?" He typed slowly. "I try not to, but I'm not innocent. I've given orders that led to people getting hurt. I've looked away when I should have stopped things." She was quiet, thinking. Tendai offered her a napkin, and she took it, smiled at him without really seeing. "Why tell me this? You could have lied. Because you asked for honesty, and you deserve it. No, and because you need to make this choice with full information. I could go to the police with what you just said. You could, but you won't. How do you know?" His phone message was blunt. "Because you need this job, and I keep my word. I said you and Tendai would be safe, paid fairly, never asked to do illegal things. That's true. And you're smart enough to know that making an enemy of me would be dangerous." It was harsh, but real. Zola's jaw tightened. "I don't respond well to threats," he typed quickly. "That wasn't a threat. Just reality. You're in a foreign country with a baby and limited options. I'm offering security and good pay for real work. We both know what we're getting." Tendai crawled into her lap, tired. She held him close, thinking through everything. "If I stay, I need you to promise something else." He gestured for her to continue. "Never lie to me again. Not about who you are or what you do. I can handle truth. I can't handle being blindsided." Daejung considered this, then typed, "I promise. No lies. And Tendai stays completely separate from your business. He never meets dangerous people, never sees anything he shouldn't." "Agreed. I'll schedule sensitive meetings when you're both gone." She nodded slowly. "Then I'll stay. For now. But I'm watching, Daijung. If I think Tendai is in danger, we disappear. I'm very good at disappearing." He believed her. Something in her voice, and the steel in her eyes, said she'd survived worse than he knew. He signed simply. "That's fair." The first week passed in a strange new rhythm. Zola learned the job faster than expected, handling his schedule and correspondence like she'd been doing it for years. She learned to always face him when speaking, to sign important things, to text instead of calling. And throughout each day, she signed, talking to Tendai, asking Daijung questions, commenting on things she saw. It was the most normal Daijung had felt in 20 years. Then his brother texted. Zola's computer screen flashed with an alert. "Your brother Minjun is downstairs. No appointment." Daijung felt his whole body tense. He texted back, "Send him up." Zola stood immediately, scooping Tendai from his play area. She moved to the other office and closed the door between them. Smart woman. Minjun walked in like he owned the building, sunglasses pushed up on his head, smile sharp as a knife. He stopped when he saw Zola's empty desk. Daejung watched his lips as Minjun spoke. "Well, Hyung, you hired someone new. Pretty, too." "This is my assistant's office," Daejung said flatly, his carefully trained voice steady. "What do you want?" "Can't a brother just visit?" Daejung watched Minjun's mouth form the words. "You never just visit." Minjun laughed and sat down without being invited. He spoke while facing Daejung, probably remembering from childhood that his older brother needed to see his lips. "Fair enough. I wanted to talk about the family meeting next week, the expansion opportunity I mentioned. I already told you no. You said we'd discuss it. We haven't discussed anything." "Because there's nothing to discuss. I'm not partnering with your Chinese contact, and I'm not expanding into those territories." Minjun's smile disappeared, and his lips moved deliberately, making sure Daejung caught every word. "Father would be ashamed of you. You've gotten soft, hiding in your office, playing businessman. Father's dead. I run things now." "Do you?" "Because Uncle's calling a meeting, and he agrees with me. Growth or death, Hyung. Those are the only options. Then let it die smaller and cleaner. That's not your choice alone." They stared at each other across the desk. Finally, Min-jun stood. Dae-jung read his lips carefully. Next Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Be ready to defend your position. He left, but not before glancing at the closed office door one more time, like he was memorizing it. When the outer door clicked shut, Zola came back out with Tendai. She positioned herself where Dae-jung could see her face. He's dangerous. Yes. More dangerous than you? Different dangerous. I have lines I won't cross. He doesn't. That night, Dae-jung couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the meeting, about his brother's eyes when he looked at that closed door, about how quickly everything could fall apart. He got up at 2 in the morning and pulled out files he kept locked in his desk at home. Inside were names. 63 people who worked directly for the family. Another 100 or so connected loosely. Next to each name, notes about their situations. He'd been keeping these notes for 3 years, ever since his father died. A quiet inventory of lives tangled in the same web that held him. What if he could give them a way out? The idea was impossible, probably. It would take years and money and perfect timing. But sitting there at 2 in the morning, thinking about Tendai learning to sign, about Zola demanding honesty, about being better than his father, he let himself imagine it. His phone screen lit up with a text. Park Ji-woo, his cousin, and one of the few people he trusted. Ji-woo was deaf too, had taught him half the signs he knew. Heard about the family meeting. Want backup? Always. Dinner tomorrow? Need to talk. Your usual place, 8 o'clock. The next evening, Dae-jung sat at table 7, but he wasn't alone. Ji-woo sat across from him, both of them signing freely because the restaurant staff knew them. You look different, Ji-woo signed. Less tired. I hired an assistant. She has a baby. They both sign. Ji-woo's eyebrows shot up. Really? That's wonderful. Dae-jung told him about Zola and Tendai, about the strange comfort of having them in his office, about feeling less alone for the first time in years. His hands moved through the air, expressing things his voice never could. You like her, Ji-woo signed with a knowing look. Not like that. Maybe not yet. But you're talking about her like people talk about light after darkness. Maybe that was true. Maybe Zola and Tendai were light in a life that had been gray for too long. When food arrived, they ate in silence for a while. Then Dae-jung brought up the real reason for the meeting, his hands forming the signs sharp and clear. Min-jun wants to expand, partnership with a Chinese syndicate, trafficking routes, probably drugs, definitely things we've always avoided. Ji-woo's face darkened. He signed back. Your father had many faults, but he wouldn't have touched that. I know, but Min-jun thinks we're too small, too cautious. Uncle agrees. At the meeting, they'll push for a vote. How many votes do you have? Maybe half. It'll be close. And if you lose? Dae-jung had been thinking about nothing else. His hands moved slowly, deliberately. Then I split from them. Take the people loyal to me and separate from the family business. That's dangerous. Your uncle won't let you walk away peacefully. I know. Ji-woo studied him across the table, then signed. What changed, Hyung? A month ago, you would have accepted the vote and gone along with the family. Dae-jung thought about Tendai signing friend with his small hands, about Zola asking if he was good or bad, and him not having an answer, about the possibility that maybe he could be something other than his father's son. His hands formed the words carefully. I met a baby who called me friend, and I realized I want to be worthy of that. This is where things get intense, so stay with me because the next part will blow your mind. The family meeting was scheduled for Tuesday at 7. Dae-jung spent Monday preparing, going through financial records and legal structures, mapping out which parts of the business he could separate cleanly. Zola noticed his tension, but didn't ask questions, which he appreciated. Tendai was having a chatty day, signing everything he saw. Chair, window, paper, pen. Dae-jung watched the baby's hands move and signed back. "You're very smart." Tendai grinned. "You're smart too." "Where did he learn that?" Dae-jung signed to Zola. She signed back, including Tendai in the conversation. "I taught him. He asks about you every morning. See friend today?" "So I told him you're our smart friend who helps us." Something in Dae-jung's chest tightened. Friend. Such a simple word, but it meant everything. That afternoon, the door alert flashed. Min-jun was back. No appointment, no warning. Zola's message appeared on Dae-jung's computer. "Your brother's here," he texted back. "Send him up." Min-jun entered with that same sharp smile. This time, he walked right past Dae-jung's desk, heading straight for where Tendai played in the corner. Dae-jung moved fast, blocking his path. "They're busy. What do you need?" Min-jun's lips curved into something mean as he spoke. "Just wanted to see the kid everyone's talking about." "Everyone?" "Word gets around, Hyung. The big, unscary Kang Dae-jung has a soft spot for a foreign woman and her baby. People are curious. Tell people to mind their business. Hard to do when you're making it so obvious. Can we talk privately?" Dae-jung wanted to say no, but causing a scene would make things worse. He gestured to his private office. They went in, door closed. Min-jun positioned himself directly across from Dae-jung, speaking clearly so his brother could read his lips. "You're making a mistake. Uncle has 8 votes lined up. You have maybe 6. The partnership is happening whether you like it or not. Then it happens without me. I'll take my portion and separate." Min-jun laughed, the movement of his mouth showing mockery, even without Dae-jung hearing the sound. "Wait, you think Uncle will just let you walk away with 1/3 of our assets?" "They're assets I built, investments I made. Father left me controlling interest for a reason." Min-jun's lips moved deliberately, enunciating each word. "Father left you in charge because you were obedient. You did what you were told and never made waves. But now you're acting like you have principles, and it's embarrassing." Dae-jung kept his voice level. "Get out of my office." "That woman out there," Min-jun's mouth formed the words with exaggerated clarity. "Has she been filling your head with morality? Because you need to remember who you are." "I know exactly who I am. That's the problem. Tomorrow night, you'll lose that vote. And when you do, you'll have a choice. Fall in line or become an outsider. You know what happens to outsiders." It was a clear threat. Dae-jung met his brother's eyes and didn't blink. "Get out." After Min-jun left, Zola appeared in the doorway. She waited until Dae-jung was looking at her before speaking. "Are you okay?" "Fine." "You're lying. I can tell." He almost smiled. She signed as she spoke. "You shouldn't come in tomorrow. Whatever happens at that meeting, you and Tendai should be far away." "That bad?" "Potentially." She crossed her arms. "Then we'll stay away. But you text me when it's over so I know you're alive." "I will." Tendai toddled over, signing, "Mama, hungry." Zola picked him up. She faced Dae-jung and spoke clearly. "Okay, little one, let's go home." She looked at Dae-jung over Tendai's head. "You should eat too. Sok, you get this look when you forget food exists." "What look?" "The one where you're so deep in your head you forget you have a body. I'll leave kimbap in your fridge." She did. And after they left, the office felt empty in a way it hadn't before they came into his life. Tuesday arrived too fast. Dae-jung woke up with a headache that wouldn't quit. The day dragged. Without Zola and Tendai, the office felt cold and lifeless. At 6:30, he drove to his uncle's house in Gangnam. Massive, expensive, designed to impress instead of comfort. Cars already filled the circular driveway. Inside, 15 family members gathered in the formal dining room. His uncle sat at the head of the table because, of course, he did. Min-jun sat at his right hand, looking confident. Dae-jung took his seat at the opposite end. A few people nodded. Most looked away. His uncle's lips moved as he began. Dae-jung read them carefully. "Now that everyone's here, let's discuss our future. Min-jun has brought us an opportunity for significant growth." Minjun stood, playing a presentation on a screen. Revenue projections, market analysis, partnership structures. It looked professional on paper. He faced different parts of the room as he spoke, and Daijung missed some words, but he got the meaning. Minjun didn't mention what products they'd actually be moving. Family members asked questions. Minjun answered smoothly, making sure to face Daijung when he responded, probably remembering his brother needed to see his face. Daijung watched and waited. Finally, his uncle turned to him, speaking directly so Daijung could read his lips. "You've been quiet. Do you have concerns?" "Yes." "Share them." Daijung stood. He signed as he spoke, the way he did when he wanted to make sure people understood him. "This partnership requires us to move into territories we've avoided for 30 years. Human trafficking, drugs that destroy communities, violence that will bring law enforcement attention we've carefully avoided. The profit potential is high, but the cost is higher." Minjun's lips formed mocking words. "Cost? We're not running a charity. We're running a business that has survived because we were smart about risk." Father understood sustainability. This partnership is the opposite. Short-term gain for long-term destruction. His uncle's jaw tightened as he spoke. "Your father would have jumped at this opportunity." Daijung read the words on his uncle's lips and responded. "My father also taught me never to enter a partnership where the other party needs you more than you need them. When things go wrong, and they will, we'll take the fall while he disappears." That landed. A few family members shifted uncomfortably. The argument went on for an hour. Numbers, projections, risks. Daejung had to keep turning his head, watching different speakers' lips, catching what he could. He laid out his case methodically, signing the most important points to make sure everyone understood. Finally, his uncle's mouth formed the words, "All in favor of accepting the partnership?" Hands went up, 8 of them. All opposed? 6 hands, including Daejung's. The motion carries. Daejung stood. He signed as he spoke, making his words unmistakable. "Then I'm formally separating my holdings from the family business." Silence. Complete silence. His uncle's face went dark, his lips moving. "You can't do that." "I can, and I am. I have controlling interest in 7 businesses, full ownership of 3 properties, independent assets, worth approximately 5 billion won. As of now, they're no longer part of family operations." Daejung watched his uncle's mouth carefully. "You're making a mistake. Walking away from family is dangerous. Staying is more dangerous." He left before anyone could respond, walking out into cool night air. His hands shook from adrenaline. He'd actually done it. Broken from the family after 42 years of obedience. In his car, he texted Zola. "Meeting's over. I'm alive. Quit the family business." Her response came immediately. "Nan, are you okay?" "Not sure yet. Tell you tomorrow." He drove to the restaurant and sat at table 7. The staff looked surprised to see him so late, but brought food anyway. He ate slowly, trying to process what he'd just done. His phone lit up with a text. "Ji-woo. Heard what happened. Proud of you. Also worried. Come to my place." Daejung went. They sat in Ji-woo's small apartment, signing in lamplight, the way they always communicated best. "You really did it," Ji-woo signed, looking awed. "Had to. Couldn't keep compromising. What happens now? I separate my businesses, set up independent operations, probably deal with Uncle trying to sabotage me. He will. He can't let you leave peacefully. It sets a bad precedent." "I know. But I have leverage. I know where all the bodies are buried, so to speak. If he pushes too hard, I push back." They talked until midnight, planning logistics and safety measures, their hands moving through the dim light. Ji-woo agreed to help him build whatever came next. At least he wasn't completely alone in this. When Daejung got home, He found another text from Zola. Tendai keeps asking if friend is okay. I told him yes. I hope I'm right. He smiled for the first time all day and typed back. Tell him friend is okay. Thank you for asking. Part 2, rewritten. The next morning, Zola arrived at 9 sharp with Tendai bouncing on her hip. The baby saw Daijung and immediately started wiggling, reaching for him and signing, friend, 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 over and over. Daijung took him, something he'd never done before. Tendai settled against his chest like it was the most natural thing in the world, so playing with his tie and signing shiny. Zola positioned herself where Daijung could see her face as she spoke. He was worried about you. Kept signing, friend sad? All evening. Daijung signed back with one hand, while holding Tendai with the other. I'm okay. Better than okay. I did something I should have done years ago. Good. She set down her bag. Want to talk about it? Not yet. Soon. They fell into the day's work, but the office felt different. Lighter somehow. Like a weight had lifted. Daijung caught himself smiling at Tendai's attempts to sign computer, which came out looking more like flying elephant. Around noon, the light alert on Daijung's desk flashed. Someone at the door. Miss Cho's message appeared on his screen. Sir, you have a visitor. He says it's urgent. He typed back. Oh, who? Someone named Chen. The lightness vanished instantly. Tell him I'm not available. He says he'll wait. Then he'll be waiting a long time. Zola looked up from her desk. She made sure Daijung was watching before she spoke. The Chinese businessman your brother mentioned? He nodded and signed. Probably here to threaten me or try to change my mind. Either way, not interested. But Chen didn't leave. He sat in the lobby for 3 hours. Finally, Daijung texted Jiwoo and agreed to see Chen in the building's conference room with witnesses. He brought Jiwoo. Chen was younger than expected, maybe 35, expensively dressed, but not flashy. He smiled when Daijung entered and positioned himself across the table, where Daijung could see his face clearly. Smart, which meant someone had told him Daijung was deaf. Mr. Kang, thank you for seeing me. Daijung watched his lips carefully. Say what you came to say. Chen spoke slowly, clearly, making sure every word was visible. I heard about your decision to separate from your family's business. I wanted to offer you a different arrangement. Partner with me directly. You clearly have standards. I respect that. We could structure something that meets your boundaries. Not interested. You haven't heard the terms. Don't need to. I'm not partnering with you under any circumstances. Chen's smile faded slightly. His lips moved deliberately. That's unfortunate. Your family is moving forward with our original agreement. Having you as competition could complicate things. Then you should have chosen better partners. Mr. Kang, Chen leaned forward, enunciating carefully. I'm trying to be polite, but you're making things difficult. Daijung leaned forward too, his trained voice steady. Let me be clear. I'm not interested in your business, your money, or your threats. I'm stepping away from this entire world as much as I can. You and my family can do whatever you want. Leave me out of it. Chen's mouth formed words Daijung had no trouble reading. That's naive. You know how this works. Neutrality isn't an option. Then I guess I'm choosing a side, and it's not yours. He stood and left, Jiwoo following. In the elevator, Jiwoo signed rapidly. That was dangerous. You made an enemy. I made that enemy when I voted no. At least now he knows where I stand. Back in the office, Zola had tea waiting. She set it in front of him without comment. Tendai was napping on his cushions. I'm peaceful and unaware of adult complications. Daijung sipped the tea and felt something settle. This was why he'd made his choice. So babies like Tendai could sleep without being touched by darkness. The light on his desk flashed. Incoming call. His phone screen showed Minjun's name. He answered on video call so he could see his brother's face. Min-jun's image appeared, his mouth moving. Hyung, you just made a huge mistake with Chen. Dae-jung watched his brother's lips. I made the only choice I could live with. He's not someone you refuse. There will be consequences. I'll deal with them. Will you? Min-jun's face filled the screen, his lips exaggerating the words mockingly. You've forgotten how this world works. You can't just walk away and expect respect. You're showing weakness. Or strength, and depending on how you look at it. Min-jun laughed, his mouth twisting. Dae-jung couldn't hear the sound, but he could see the cruelty in it. Strength? You've gone soft. That woman and her baby have made you weak, and weakness gets you killed. The threat was crystal clear in the way Min-jun's lips formed each word deliberately. Dae-jung's hand tightened on the phone. Don't talk about them. They have nothing to do with this. Everything has to do with everything in our world. You know that. Dae-jung signed sharply as he spoke, making sure his brother understood. If you or anyone else goes near them, I will burn everything down. Are we clear? Are you threatening me? I'm making a promise. Stay away from them. He ended the video call. His hands were shaking, but this time from rage. Zola was staring at him. She waited until he looked at her before speaking. He threatened us. Not a question. She'd been watching his face, probably reading his expressions even if she couldn't hear the conversation. Dae-jung nodded and signed. He implied. I warned him off. Will that be enough? He pulled out his phone and typed. I'll make sure it is. That night, Dae-jung made calls, all on video so he could see faces. By morning, there would be security watching Zola's apartment building, people following at a distance when she went out with Tendai. She wouldn't know they were there, but they would be. He also video called police contacts, making it clear that if anything happened to a Zimbabwean woman named Zola or her son, there would be immediate investigations into certain family members, insurance of a sort. It was past midnight when he finished. He sat in his dark apartment and wondered if he was doing the right thing. His phone screen lit up. A text from Zola. Can't sleep. Worried. Is this going to be our life now? Looking over our shoulders. He switched to video call instead of texting. She answered immediately, her face appearing on his screen in the dim light of her apartment. Dae-jung watched her lips carefully as she spoke. I'm sorry. I pulled you into something dangerous. I pulled myself in when I accepted the job. I knew who you were, but you didn't know you'd become a target. She positioned her phone so he could see her face clearly in the light. Am I? Really? Or is your brother just trying to scare you? Dae-jung wanted to lie, to reassure her, but he'd promised honesty. He signed as he spoke so she could understand him in the dim video. I don't know. Probably just intimidation. But I'm not taking chances. I've arranged security. You won't see them, but they'll be there. Silence. Then her lips formed careful words. Thank you for telling me, and for the protection. But Dae-jung, you need to think about what you're doing. Building a life while also building a war. Those things don't work together. He signed. I know. Then, which one are you choosing? Both. Neither. I don't know. I just know I can't go back to what I was. He saw Tendai appear in the background, fussing. Zola turned, signing to him, then looked back at the camera. He has nightmares sometimes, about things from before Korea. We left Zimbabwe because it wasn't safe. Political violence, economic collapse. So I thought coming here would mean safety. But now I'm wondering if I just traded one danger for another. The guilt hit hard. Dae-jung signed clearly so she could see his hands in the video. If you want to leave, go somewhere else. I'll help. Money, documents, whatever you need. Her face on the screen was serious. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I chose to stay after learning who you are. But I need to know you're not going to make that choice meaningless. If you're going to fight your family, really fight them, then commit. Don't half-measure this and get us all hurt. She was right. Half measures were deadly in his world. You were either in or out. He signed. You're asking me to declare war on my own family. I'm asking you to be honest about what you've already started. Tendai's fussing turned to crying in the background. Zola's face showed regret. I have to go. Think about what I said. See you tomorrow. The call ended. Dae-jung sat in the dark and thought. By morning, he'd made a decision. He video-called Ji-woo at 7. Ji-woo's face appeared on screen, bleary with sleep but alert. His hand started signing immediately. What's wrong? Dae-jung signed back. I need your help with something big. They met at a coffee shop far from family territory. They sat across from each other, signing rapidly, the way two deaf people communicate when they don't have to worry about others understanding. Dae-jung's hands moved through the air, explaining his idea, not just separating from the family business, but actively dismantling his part of it, transitioning everything to legitimate operations, creating exit strategies for people who wanted out, building something clean from a dirty foundation. Ji-woo signed back. It'll take years, maybe decades. You'll make enemies. I know, but I can't keep being what I've been, and I can't do half measures. Will you help? Ji-woo was quiet for a long moment, his hands still. Then he signed. Yes, but on one condition. What? Tell that woman and her son the truth. All of it. What you're planning, what the risks are, what it means for them. They deserve to choose with full information. She might leave. Then she leaves. But at least she chooses freely. That evening, after the office closed, Dae-jung asked Zola to stay late. A walk. Tendai played with blocks, while Dae-jung explained everything, his hand signing, while he also pulled up typed notes on his tablet to make sure she understood completely. The plan to slowly liquidate assets, transition businesses to legitimate operations, help people exit the organization. The timeline, probably 10 years minimum. The risks were substantial. The certainty that his family would fight him every step. Zola watched his hands, his face, the notes on the tablet. When he finished, she was quiet for a long time. She positioned herself directly across from him, speaking clearly. That's a life's work, he nodded. And you'd be doing it basically alone. One man against an entire organization. His hand signed. Not alone. Ji-woo will help, and others probably. People who want out but were too afraid. And Tendai and me? Where do we fit? That was the question. Dae-jung took a breath. He signed as he spoke, making sure she caught every word. Honestly, I don't know. I hired you because I wanted people who sign around me. I kept you because you make me feel less alone. But now you're in danger because of me, and that's unacceptable. So maybe you should take the money I offered and go somewhere safe. Australia, maybe, or Canada. Start over properly. Tendai brought him a block, signing, help, build. Dae-jung took the block and helped stack it. The baby grinned and went back for more. Zola watched this with an expression he couldn't read. She spoke slowly, making sure he could see her lips. So what if I don't want to leave? Then you're braver and possibly more foolish than I thought. Or maybe I see something worth staying for. His heart did something complicated. He signed. You barely know me, she signed back. I know enough. I know you're trying to be better. I know you protected us when your brother threatened. I know Tendai trusts you, and he doesn't trust easily. And I know I'm tired of running from danger. Maybe it's time to stand with someone who's fighting it. This isn't your fight. Maybe not. But I choose to make it mine, if you'll have us. Dae-jung looked at this woman who'd walked into his life 5 weeks ago and somehow changed everything. He signed carefully. I'd be honored, but you need to understand what you're agreeing to. Years of danger, uncertainty, working to dismantle something powerful. I understand. And you still want to stay? Zola smiled and signed as she spoke. In Zimbabwe, we have a saying, Ubuntu. It means I am because we are. The idea that we're all connected, that helping each other is what makes us human. You're trying to help people escape a bad life. That's Ubuntu. I want to be part of that. Even though it's dangerous? My whole life has been dangerous. At least this danger is for something worth doing. Tendai brought another block. Daejung added it to the tower. The baby clapped, delighted. Daejung signed. Okay, then we do this together. All three of us. Zola signed back. All three of us. The next 6 months were controlled chaos. Daejung began slowly restructuring his businesses, while his family watched with suspicion. And Chen's organization circled like sharks. But he wasn't alone. Jiwoo helped navigate legal complexities. Zola kept his schedule sane and his office running. And Tendai, growing fast now, provided daily reminders of why the work mattered. The baby's signing improved every week. He started mixing Korean and English, creating his own vocabulary. One morning, he signed to Daejung, "Friend, work hard," then patted his hand sympathetically. Daejung signed back, "I'm okay." Tendai tilted his head, studying him with those huge eyes, then signed, "Friend, tired. Smart kid." Daejung was exhausted, running on caffeine and determination. He signed, "Friend is tired but happy." Tendai signed decisively, "Happy, good," then went back to his toys. Zola appeared with tea. She developed a sixth sense for when he needed it. She made sure he was looking at her before speaking. "He's right. You need to sleep more." "I'll sleep when this is done." "That's what worries me. You're no good to anyone if you collapse." She sat across from him, speaking clearly. "I've been thinking. This plan of yours, helping people exit the organization. What if we made it more systematic?" He gestured for her to continue. "Right now you're handling it case by case, finding jobs here and there. But what if we created a whole structure, a program? Job training, education funds, relocation assistance. Make it easier for people to leave." He stared at her, then pulled out his phone and typed. "That would require significant resources." She signed as she spoke. "You have significant resources, and it would work better than scattered solutions." The idea started taking shape immediately, not just helping individuals, but building a pipeline out of the organization. It was ambitious and dangerous and exactly what he needed. He signed. "Can you research what that would look like? Programs that exist? Costs? Logistics?" "Already started. I'll have a proposal by next week." He shouldn't have been surprised. Zola had proven herself brilliant at organization. What started as scheduling had evolved into genuine partnership. His hands moved through the air. "Thank you. For thinking of this. For staying." She signed back. "Thank you for being worth staying for." Their eyes met across the desk. Something shifted between them. Not romantic exactly, but deeper than friendship. Partnership, maybe. Or family. The kind you choose instead of inheriting. The door alert flashed, breaking the moment. Miss Cho's message appeared. "Sir, your uncle is here. He says it's urgent." Daejung tensed. His uncle hadn't spoken to him directly since the vote 6 months ago. He typed back, "Send him in." Zola immediately moved to the other office with Tendai, closing the door. Smart. His uncle entered, looking older, face lined with stress. He positioned himself across from Daejung's desk, speaking slowly enough for lip reading. "You've made quite a mess." Daejung watched his uncle's mouth form the words. "I've made changes. There's a difference. Changes that are costing the family money and reputation. 3 of our people left last month. They're citing new opportunities with your businesses." Daejung signed as he spoke. "I hired qualified people for legitimate positions. That's not poaching." His uncle's lips moved clearly, deliberately. It is when you're deliberately trying to dismantle the organization from inside. Dae-jung didn't deny it. He signed. What do you want? I want you to stop. End this campaign. Come back to the family. Not interested. His uncle's jaw tightened. Dae-jung read the words carefully. You're being selfish. Your father built this for all of us. You're destroying his legacy. Dae-jung's hands moved sharply through the air as he spoke. I'm transforming it, making it sustainable, legal, safe, weak. You're making it weak. We disagree. His uncle stepped closer, lowering his voice but keeping his face visible. Dae-jung read every word on his lips. That woman, the foreign one with the baby, she's making you soft. And everyone sees it. You weren't like this before she arrived. Warning bells rang. Dae-jung signed forcefully. Leave her out of this. Hard to do when she's clearly why you've lost your mind. What is she, your girlfriend? Your conscience? A distraction? She's my assistant, and none of your business. His uncle's mouth formed each word with cruel precision. Everything about you is my business, when your choices affect the family. Is she worth destroying everything for? Dae-jung thought about Zola in the next room, probably watching through the glass, keeping Tendai quiet and safe. Thought about the way she challenged him to be better, the way Tendai signed friend, without knowing what a gift that word was. He signed as he spoke. Yes, she is. His uncle's expression darkened. His lips moved slowly. Then you're more foolish than I thought. Women come and go. Family is forever. Dae-jung's hands cut through the air sharply. Not the way our family operates. The way we work. Family is just another prison. You'll regret this. Maybe. But on my own terms. His uncle left without another word. Dae-jung stood alone, heart pounding. The threat had been clear in every deliberately formed word. Zola emerged from the other office. She positioned herself where he could see her face. I heard most of that through the glass. Read your signing. Probably for the best. You should know what we're dealing with. He threatened us again. Less subtly this time. Yes, I'm increasing security. Or, she signed as she spoke, we could be smarter. Stop being so visible. He gestured for her to explain. She glanced at Tendai stacking blocks. We're here every day, where everyone can see. What if we weren't? What if I worked remotely sometimes, kept Tendai away from here? You want to hide? She signed clearly. I want to be strategic. Your uncle is right about one thing. I am visible. We are visible. That makes us an easy target. But if we're less available, less obvious, it's harder to use us against you. It made sense, much as he hated it. Having them here every day had become the best part of his routine, but their safety mattered more. He signed. Okay, 3 days a week here, 2 remote. And when you are here, vary the schedule. Don't be predictable. She signed back. Agreed. Over the next few months, the pattern held. Zola and Tendai came in 3 days a week on changing schedules. The other days she worked from her apartment, communicating through video calls where Dae-jung could see her face and hands. Tendai turned 2 years old. Zola threw a small party at her apartment, inviting her sister Rudo and friends from the Zimbabwean community. She texted Dae-jung an invitation, hesitant words on his screen, asking if he'd like to come. He showed up with a gift, a children's book about animals, with Korean and English text. Tendai opened it and immediately started signing all the animal names, making up signs for ones he didn't know. His little hands formed the shapes. Elephant, lion, bird, long-nose animal? Zola showed him the sign. Anteater. Tendai's hands copied it eagerly. Anteater! Dae-jung found himself on the floor of Zola's small apartment, surrounded by strangers, see you helping a 2-year-old learn animal signs. It was far from his usual life. It was also the happiest he'd been in years. Rudo cornered him in the kitchen later. She positioned herself where he could see her face clearly, probably warned by Zola. "So you're the mysterious boss my sister talks about." Dae-jung read her lips. "I suppose." She spoke slowly, making sure he could understand. "She says you're helping people, trying to do good things." "Trying? Succeeding is harder." Ruto studied him. Her lips moved deliberately. "In Zimbabwe, we had powerful men who said they wanted to help. Most just helped themselves. But Zola trusts you, and she doesn't trust easily. So maybe you're different." "I hope so." She leaned closer, speaking directly to his face. "You better be. Because if you hurt my sister or Tendai, I don't care how powerful you are, I'll find a way to make you sorry." She said it pleasantly, smiling, but the steel underneath was real. Dae-jung signed as he spoke. "I have no intention of hurting them. They've become important to me." Ruto's lips curved. "Good. Keep it that way." The party wound down. Guests left. Dae-jung helped clean up. Tendai fell asleep on the couch. Zola covered him with a blanket and sat at the kitchen table with Dae-jung. She made sure he was watching before she spoke. "Thank you for coming. It meant a lot." "Thank you for inviting me." Comfortable silence. Then Zola signed as she spoke. "I've been thinking about something." He gestured for her to continue. "The education fund you mentioned, for kids of organization members. How serious were you?" He signed. "Very serious." "Why?" She spoke clearly, on her hands moving with her words. "Because I have contacts in immigrant communities here. A lot of us came for economic opportunities, but ended up in gray areas. Not quite illegal, not quite legal. People take dangerous jobs because they need money. Their kids suffer for it." Dae-jung watched her hands, her lips, understanding forming. "You're suggesting expanding beyond just my organization?" Her hands moved through the air as she spoke. "I'm suggesting, if you really want to break cycles, think bigger. Help immigrant kids, kids whose parents are trapped in bad situations, regardless of which organization. Make it about giving children better options than their parents had." The idea was staggering and perfect. He pulled out his phone and typed. "That would require substantial funding, a real foundation, legal structure, oversight." She signed back. "You have substantial funding, and I could run it. I've been researching nonprofit management. I know you hired me as an assistant, but Dae-jung, I could do more. Let me help you build something that outlasts both of us." He looked at her across the table. This woman who'd wandered into his restaurant with a toddler and convinced him he could be better. He signed. "You're extraordinary." She smiled and signed back. "I'm practical. There's a difference. Is that a yes?" "Yes. Let's build it." She signed, speaking the words clearly. The Last Generation Foundation. Breaking cycles, one family at a time. His hands formed the sign for perfect. They shook hands, and Dae-jung felt the weight of it. This wasn't just business anymore. This was commitment, shared purpose, maybe the beginning of something neither fully understood yet. Over the next year, the foundation took shape. Zola proved herself brilliant at organizational structure, building a program that provided scholarships, job training, family support. They started small, helping 20 kids the first year. But the model worked, and word spread. Dae-jung funneled money carefully, building clean futures for children. Some connected to his old organization, others from immigrant families stuck in difficult situations. All of them got chances they wouldn't have had otherwise. The work was exhausting, fulfilling, dangerous. His family noticed money disappearing into what they saw as wasteful charity. Chen's organization noticed people leaving. Tensions rose. Then came the night everything changed. It was a Tuesday, warm for early spring. Zola had taken Tendai to the park near her apartment. Late, she knew it was risky, but he'd been cooped up all day and needed to run. The park was nearly empty. Just a few teenagers on the basketball court, an old woman walking her dog. Tendai ran in circles, laughing, signing fast, fast, Mama, look. Zola signed back. I'm looking, baby. You're very fast. That's when the man appeared. Not obviously threatening at first, just another person in the park. But he was watching Tendai, watching too closely. Zola's instincts kicked in. She signed to Tendai. Time to go, little one. He signed back. No, play more. We can play at home. Come on. The man started walking toward them, casual, like he was just passing by. But his eyes were locked on Tendai. Zola grabbed her son's hand, speaking out loud now. Now, Tendai. The man moved faster. Before Zola could react, his hand was on Tendai's arm. Let go of him! She lunged forward, grabbing Tendai's other arm. For 3 terrible seconds, they played tug-of-war with a 2-year-old in the middle. Tendai started crying. His little face twisted in confusion and terror, his hand signing, Mama, scared, over and over. People in the park turned to look. The teenagers stopped playing. The old woman with the dog moved closer. The man saw them staring and let go, stepping back with his hands raised. Sorry, I thought he was lost, he said in Korean. But Zola had seen what his lips formed right before he grabbed Tendai. She'd watched his mouth shape the words clear as day. Dae-jung's kid. The man disappeared into the evening crowd. Zola scooped up Tendai, her hands shaking so badly she could barely hold her phone. Tendai was crying, signing, scared, want Appa. She called the police first. Then she texted Dae-jung, her fingers trembling on the screen. Someone tried to grab Tendai. We're at the park. Police are here. He knew your name. And that's how we got here. To this moment. To everything falling apart. If you're still watching, you need to see how this ends, because what happens next will change everything. And I promise, you won't see it coming. So don't go anywhere. Dae-jung's phone vibrated on his desk. Zola's text lit up the screen. Someone tried to grab Tendai. We're at the park. Police are here. He knew your name. His world stopped. He was already moving, grabbing his keys, texting back as he walked. Where exactly? I'm coming now. Namsan Park. Saw it near the playground. He texted Jiwoo. Emergency. Someone went after Tendai. Jiwoo's response came immediately. On my way. Send location. Dae-jung drove faster than he should have, his mind racing. Every worst-case scenario played out in his head. When he couldn't reach them by phone, he couldn't hear their voices to know they were okay. He could only wait for texts, for visual confirmation. Another text from Zola. We're okay. Shaken, but okay. Tendai keeps asking for you, he texted back. 5 minutes away. He reached the park and saw the police cars immediately, lights flashing in the evening darkness. A small crowd of onlookers. Zola sitting on a bench holding Tendai. A policewoman standing nearby with a notebook. Dae-jung approached quickly. Tendai saw him, and his little hand started moving frantically, signing, Appa. Fuck Appa. Scared. Bad man. Appa, help! The words hit him like a physical blow. Appa. Not friend anymore. Appa. He took Tendai from Zola, and the child clung to him, small body shaking. Over Tendai's head, his and Zola's eyes met. She looked terrified, but holding it together. The policewoman turned to him, and Dae-jung positioned himself so he could see her face clearly. He spoke, his trained voice steady despite the fear coursing through him. I need to get them somewhere safe. Can we continue this at a secure location? The policewoman's lips moved. Sir, we need to finish taking statements first. Dae-jung pulled out his phone and typed rapidly, showing her the screen. This is an ongoing threat situation. They attempted to kidnap a 2-year-old child. The people behind this have resources and will try again. I have a safe location. You can take statements there, or I'm leaving with them now, regardless. Something in his expression must have convinced her, because she nodded. Her lips formed words carefully. What's the address? He typed it and showed her. She spoke to her partner, and they agreed to follow. Daijung's security detail appeared. 3 men who'd been following at a distance. He signed sharply to them, the gestures angry. You were supposed to protect them. Where were you? The lead security guard positioned himself where Daijung could see his face and spoke slowly. We were watching the apartment. They left from a different exit. We picked them up at the park, but not fast enough. I'm sorry, sir. Daijung wanted to rage at them, but Tendai was still clinging to him, still signing scared over and over. He took a breath and signed to his team. To form a perimeter. We're moving to the Incheon location, now. They formed up around them while Daijung got Zola and Tendai into his car. Tendai had cried himself into hiccups, his little hand still moving weakly, signing, Appa here! Safe now! Appa here! The drive to Incheon took 30 minutes. Zola sat in the back with Tendai, and Daijung kept glancing in the rearview mirror, watching them. At one point, Zola caught his eye and signed, Thank you for coming so fast. He signed back with one hand, keeping the other on the wheel. Always. For both of you. Always. The safe house was in a quiet neighborhood, an apartment he'd bought under a shell company years ago. Clean, furnished, fully stocked. They arrived past midnight. Tendai had finally fallen asleep, exhausted from crying. Shozola carried him to the bedroom, while Daijung checked every lock, every window, every possible entry point. The police arrived and took their statements. Daijung watched their lips carefully, making sure he caught every question. Zola described the man, what he looked like, what he'd said. She told them about the words she'd seen him mouth. Daijung's kid. One officer looked at Daijung, speaking slowly and clearly. Do you know who might have sent this man? Daijung could lie. Should lie, probably. But he pulled out his phone and typed. I recently separated from my family's business organization. There have been tensions. This could be related. The officer's eyebrows rose. What kind of organization? The kind you probably already have files on. The Kang family. Recognition flickered across the officer's face. His lips moved carefully. We'll need you to come to the station tomorrow for a formal statement. I'll be there. But right now I need to make sure they're protected. We can assign officers to watch the location, Daijung typed rapidly. I have private security as well, but yes, police presence would help. Thank you. The officers left around 2 in the morning. Ji-woo had arrived an hour earlier and was setting up additional security measures. He and Daijung communicated entirely in sign language now that they were alone. Ji-woo's hands moved rapidly. This is bad. Someone actually tried to grab him. Daijung signed back, his movements sharp and angry. In broad daylight, at a public park. They're not even trying to be subtle anymore. What are you going to do? End this, permanently. Ji-woo studied his face, and then signed. How? I don't know yet. But I can't let them be in danger because of me. They worked until dawn, setting up motion sensors, cameras, alert systems. Everything visual because sound-based alarms wouldn't help Daijung. Lights would flash if someone approached. His phone would vibrate with alerts. When Zola emerged from the bedroom, the sun was just coming up. She positioned herself where Daijung could see her face before speaking. He's still sleeping. Nightmares, though. He kept signing bad man in his sleep. Daijung felt something crack in his chest. He pulled out his phone and typed. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I should have protected you better. Zola read the message and shook her head. She signed as she spoke. You had people watching us. They couldn't be everywhere. This isn't your fault, he typed again. It absolutely is. My choices put you in danger. She took the phone from his hands and typed her own message, showing it to him. No. Someone else's choices put us in danger. You're trying to help people. They're trying to hurt people. Don't confuse those things. He looked at her, standing there in rumpled clothes from yesterday, exhausted and terrified, but still standing strong. Still defending him even when he'd brought danger to her door. He signed slowly. If something happened to you or Tendai because of me, I couldn't live with that. She signed back. Then what are you saying? That we should leave? Go back to Zimbabwe? The thought of them leaving felt like being hollowed out. But their safety mattered more than his feelings. He pulled his phone back and typed. Maybe. Yes. I can fund it. Make sure you're comfortable, safe. Rudo can go too. You can start fresh somewhere far from all this. Tendai appeared in the bedroom doorway, rubbing his eyes. He saw them, and immediately waddled over, grabbing Dae-jung's leg and Zola's leg, holding them both together. His little hands signed sleepily. No fight. Family, no fight. Zola's breath caught. Dae-jung froze, staring down at this child who just called them family. Zola spoke softly, positioning herself where Dae-jung could see her lips. What did you teach him to call us? I didn't. He decided on his own. Last week, he started signing Mama for me and Appa for you. I corrected him, said you were friend, but he insists. Tendai looked up at them with those huge, trusting eyes. His hands moved through the air. Appa and Mama no fight. Tendai scared. Dae-jung knelt to the baby's level. He signed carefully. We're not fighting, little one. We're just talking about how to keep you safe. Tendai signed back with absolute certainty. Safe here, with Appa and Mama, family safe together. If only it were that simple. But Tendai's faith, his complete conviction that they were family, and family stayed together, cut through all of Dae-jung's careful rationalizations. He looked at Zola over Tendai's head. She was crying silently, tears streaming down her face. She spoke, her voice breaking. I don't want to leave. I know that's selfish. I know it puts us in danger, but I don't want to go. This work we're doing, this life we're building, it matters. And I want to see it through. With you. Dae-jung signed, even knowing what it costs. Especially knowing. Because the alternative is running forever, and I'm tired of running. I want to stand and fight. For the kids we're helping. For the future we're building. For this. She gestured between the three of them. Whatever this is. Dae-jung's hands moved through the air, forming the words carefully. This is family. Chosen family. The kind that matters most. Tendai nodded seriously, signing yes, family, like he'd known all along. They put him back to bed together, both sitting beside the small bed until he fell asleep. Then they returned to the living room, where Ji-woo was monitoring the security feeds. Dae-jung pulled out his phone and typed, showing it to both Zola and Ji-woo. If we're doing this, if you're really staying, then we do it right. Maximum security, multiple safe houses, complete protection protocols. And I have to deal with whoever came after Tendai. Zola positioned herself where he could see her face. Deal how? He typed. Not violently. I'm not my father. But definitely. I need to make it clear that you and Tendai are completely off limits. How do you make that clear without violence? Good question. Dae-jung thought for a long moment, then started typing rapidly. Information. I have files on everyone in the organization, including my uncle and Minjun. Everything they've done that could send them to prison. I've been holding it as insurance, but maybe it's time to let them know I'll use it if they push me. Ji-woo read over his shoulder and signed. Mutually assured destruction. Dae-jung signed back. Exactly. Ji-woo arrived with more security personnel and equipment over the next few hours. They spent the rest of the day fortifying the safe house and planning next steps. By evening, they had a strategy. Dae-jung would meet with his uncle one more time, neutral territory with witnesses. He'd make his position clear. Touch Zola or Tendai, and every piece of evidence he had would go to international authorities. His uncle would go to prison, Min-jun would go to prison, the family empire would crumble. Ji-woo signed a warning. It's a bluff. If you actually release that information, you implicate yourself too. Dae-jung signed back. They don't know that. And honestly, at this point, I'd almost welcome it. Prison might be simpler. Don't say that. We've come too far. The meeting happened 2 days later. A quiet restaurant, private room, 2 witnesses on each side. Dae-jung brought Ji-woo. His uncle brought Min-jun and a lawyer. They sat across from each other like opposing armies. Dae-jung positioned himself where he could see all their faces, though it meant constantly turning his head to follow who was speaking. His uncle's lips moved first. You asked for this meeting. Talk. Dae-jung signed as he spoke, making his words unmistakable. Someone attempted to kidnap a 2-year-old child 4 days ago. A child connected to me. I need to know if that was family business. His uncle and Min-jun exchanged glances. Dae-jung's eyes tracked between them, reading their expressions. Min-jun shrugged, his lips forming casual words. Could have been anyone. You've made a lot of enemies, Hyung. Dae-jung watched Min-jun's mouth carefully. Could have been. But I'm going to proceed, as if it was family, until I know otherwise. So here's my position. That woman and her child are completely off limits. Not negotiating tools, not pressure points, not targets. Untouchable. Are we clear? His uncle's lips formed a question. And if we're not the ones who sent someone after them? Dae-jung pulled out a USB drive and set it on the table. He signed as he spoke, making sure everyone understood. Then help me find out who did. Prove you weren't involved. The lawyer leaned forward, speaking slowly. Why would we do that? Dae-jung tapped the USB drive, then pulled out his phone and typed, turning it so everyone could see. Because if anything happens to either of them, this goes to 3 different international law enforcement agencies. It contains 30 years of records, transactions, communications, witness statements, and enough to dismantle the entire family operation and send most of you to prison for life. His uncle's face went white. Min-jun lunged forward, but Ji-woo blocked him, signing sharply for him to sit down. Dae-jung watched his uncle's lips form the words. You're bluffing. You'd implicate yourself. He signed forcefully as he spoke. I'd welcome it at this point. Clean slate, even if it costs me everything. You're insane. His hands cut through the air sharply. I'm committed to protecting the people I love and the work I'm building. So decide right now. Are Zola and Tendai safe, or do I burn everything down? The silence stretched. Dae-jung watched each face in turn, reading expressions, waiting. Finally, his uncle's mouth moved. We didn't send anyone after the child. I give you my word. Dae-jung leaned forward, reading his uncle's lips carefully. Then who did? Chen. He's been pressuring us to pressure you. Said you needed to understand there are consequences for refusing partnerships. Rage flooded through Dae-jung, but he kept his signing controlled. Then you need to make it clear to Chen that he crossed a line. Because if he tries again, I don't just release these files. I go to war. And you get caught in the crossfire. His uncle's lips formed the question. You'd risk the whole family over a woman and child you've known for 2 years? Dae-jung signed without hesitation. Without question. His uncle studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. His mouth formed careful words. I'll talk to Chen, make it clear the situation has changed. Do more than talk, and make him understand that touching them is suicide for him and anyone who helps him. I'm not your messenger. Dae-jung tapped the USB drive again and signed. You are, if you want this to stay in my pocket instead of going to the police. Checkmate. His uncle knew it. They all knew it. The meeting ended with tense understanding. Dae-jung had his protection, bought with threats and leverage. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. He returned to the safe house where Zola was teaching Tendai to count in 3 languages. The baby saw him and ran over, signing Appa home. Dae-jung caught him, lifted him, just held on for a moment. This was what he was protecting. Not just two people, but the possibility of family that wasn't poisoned by legacy and violence. Zola positioned herself where he could see her face. "How did it go?" he sighed. "It went. We should be safe for now. My uncle is dealing with Chen." "And you trust your uncle?" he signed back. "No. But I trust his self-preservation instinct. He won't risk prison to make a point." But Dae-jung was wrong about one thing. He'd assumed Chen would back off once the family made things clear. He'd assumed wrong. 3 weeks later, Zola was grocery shopping with Tendai in a busy market. Security was with them, keeping distance like always. Everything seemed normal. Then Tendai pointed at something across the market and signed, "Bad man." Zola looked. Chen was standing by a fruit stand, watching them. Not hiding, not pretending. Just watching, making sure she saw him. Her blood ran cold. She picked up Tendai and started walking the other direction. Fast but not running, not making a scene. When security noticed and moved closer, Chen didn't follow. He just stood there, smiling, making his point clear. "I can find you whenever I want." Zola made it to the car, strapped Tendai in with shaking hands, pulled out her phone and video called Dae-jung. His face appeared on the screen. She positioned her phone so he could see her clearly and spoke, knowing her voice was probably shaking. Chen was at the market, just standing there watching us. Dae-jung's expression went deadly serious. She watched him sign. "Are you safe now?" "In the car with security, heading back to the apartment." His hands moved sharply through the video. "No. Go to the Incheon house. I'll meet you there." "Dae-jung, what are you going to do?" His signing was decisive. "What I should have done weeks ago. I meant this." He ended the video call before she could respond. Dae-jung sat at his desk for a long moment, thinking. Then he pulled out his phone and made one call. Not to his uncle, not to Ji-woo, to someone he'd sworn never to contact again. He video called Detective Park. The detective answered on the third ring, positioning his face where Dae-jung could see it. They'd worked together before, years ago. The detective knew about his deafness and knew how to communicate with him. The detective's lips moved. "I thought you said we were done talking." Dae-jung signed as he spoke. "We were, but circumstances changed." "What circumstances?" He pulled up a document on his computer and angled his phone camera to show it to the detective, then back to his own face so he could read the response. "I have information about an international trafficking operation. Names, routes, financial records. Everything you'd need to make the biggest bust of your career." The detective's face was still. His mouth formed careful words. "What's the catch?" Dae-jung signed clearly. "One name stays out of it. Mine. And 2 people get protection. Witness protection if necessary. A woman named Zola and her son." Detective Park's lips moved. "You're asking me to make a deal with a criminal. I'm offering you Chen's entire operation on a silver platter. What you do with that information is up to you." The detective's expression was calculating. Dae-jung watched his mouth form words slowly. "I need to see what you have first. Meet me tomorrow, noon. That coffee shop on Seocho Street. You like." "How do you know I like that coffee shop?" Dae-jung sighed. "I know a lot of things, detective. That's why this deal works for both of us." He ended the call, sat in his office, and wondered if he'd just made the biggest mistake of his life or the smartest move. Ji-woo burst through the door an hour later. He signed rapidly, frantically. "Are you out of your mind? You can't make a deal with the police." Dae-jung signed back calmly. "I just did. They'll use your information and then arrest you anyway." "Maybe. But Chen threatened Tendai twice. He showed up at the market where Zola was shopping. He's not backing down, and my uncle either can't or won't control him, so I'm taking him off the board permanently." Ji-woo signed something sharp and frustrated. "By destroying your own leverage?" Those files were your protection. Dae-jung's hands moved deliberately through the air. My protection isn't worth anything if Chen decides to grab Tendai for real next time. This way, Chen goes to prison, and Zola and Tendai get actual safety, not just the illusion of it. Jiwoo's signing slowed. What happens to you when the police have everything? I don't know, but at least they'll be safe. You're in love with her. It wasn't a question. Dae-jung didn't deny it. He signed simply. Yes, and with him, they're my family. The only real family I've ever had. I'll do whatever it takes to protect them. The meeting with Detective Park happened the next day. Dae-jung brought copies of everything. Financial records showing Chen's money laundering operations, communications proving his involvement in trafficking routes, witness statements from people who'd worked for him, locations of warehouses and safe houses. They sat across from each other in the coffee shop. Detective Park went through it all with sharp, calculating eyes, making notes. When he looked up, he positioned himself where Dae-jung could read his lips clearly. This is substantial. Where did you get it? Dae-jung signed as he spoke. Does it matter? It matters if I'm going to use it in court. Anonymous tip from someone inside Chen's organization who wanted out. The detective's lips formed careful words. And the two people you want protected. Completely innocent. Wrong place, wrong time. They got caught in the middle, and now they're targets. If they testify, we can put them in witness protection. Dae-jung signed sharply. They won't testify. They don't know anything worth testifying about. But they need protection anyway. Detective Park closed the file folder. His mouth moved slowly. You're asking a lot. I'm giving you Chen's entire operation. I'd say that's worth it. And you? What do you get out of this? Dae-jung signed. Peace of mind. The detective studied him for a long moment. His lips moved deliberately. You're one of them too, aren't you? Part of that world. This is you trying to buy your way out. This is me trying to keep two people safe. Everything else is secondary. I'll need time to verify this information. Dae-jung signed firmly. You have 72 hours. After that, the deal expires. You're in no position to make demands. His hands moved sharply through the air as he spoke. Actually, I am. Because if you don't take this deal, I'll find someone who will. Maybe international authorities. Maybe a journalist. Maybe I'll just release everything publicly and let chaos sort it out. Your choice, detective. Make the biggest arrest of your career, or watch someone else do it. Detective Park's jaw tightened. His lips formed the words, 72 hours. I'll be in touch. Dae-jung went back to the Incheon safe house, where Zola and Tendai were waiting. The baby ran to him immediately, signing, Appa, Appa, missed you. I missed you too, little one. Zola was watching from the kitchen doorway. She waited until he was looking at her before speaking. What did you do? He signed. Made a deal. Chen's going to prison. Her eyes went wide. How? His hands moved through the air. I gave the police everything I have on him. She spoke slowly, on making sure he could see her lips. Everything? Dae-jung, that was your protection. He signed. You and Tendai are my protection. This way, you're actually safe instead of just temporarily secure. And what about you? Did you implicate yourself? His signing was honest. Probably. I don't know. I tried to structure it so the focus stays on Chen, but once the police start digging, who knows what they'll find. She crossed the room and did something she'd never done before. She took his face in both hands and made him look at her, speaking clearly and slowly. You didn't have to do that. He gently took her wrists, signing with one hand while keeping eye contact. Yes, I did. He threatened you. Threatened Tendai. I wasn't going to wait around for him to try something worse. But you might go to prison. His hand moved through the air. Better me than you. Better me than Tendai growing up without his mother, because I was too cowardly to act. Tears filled her eyes. She spoke, her voice breaking. You're not cowardly. You're the bravest person I know, he signed. I'm terrified, all the time, of failing, of losing you both, of becoming my father. She signed back, her movements careful and deliberate. You're nothing like your father. How do you know? You never met him. Her hands formed the signs clearly. Because your father wouldn't have sacrificed himself to protect people he loved. He wouldn't have seen us as family. He wouldn't have taught a 2-year-old baby animal signs just to make him laugh. She was right. His father would have handled this with violence and intimidation. Dae-jung was trying something different, something better. It might not work, but at least he was trying. Tendai wedged himself between them, signing group hug. They both laughed and pulled him in, signing to each other over his head, creating a circle of hands and family and hope. 72 hours later, Detective Park video called. His face appeared on Dae-jung's screen, positioned clearly. His lips moved. The information checks out. We're moving on, Chen, tonight. Dae-jung signed. And my people? Protected. We'll have officers assigned to them for the next 6 months, longer if needed. After that, Chen will be in prison, and the threat should be neutralized. Thank you. The detective's expression was serious. His mouth formed careful words. We need to talk about your involvement. Dae-jung's stomach dropped. He signed. What about it? Your name doesn't appear in any of these files. Very carefully doesn't appear. Which makes me think you scrubbed it out. Or maybe I was never involved. Detective Park's lips moved slowly. Or maybe you're smarter than Chen. Either way, I'm going to be watching you, Mr. Kong. This deal gets you a pass for now, but I'll be paying attention. One wrong move, and we'll be having a different conversation. Dae-jung signed clearly. Understood. Stay clean. For those people you're protecting, if nothing else. The call ended. Dae-jung sat down hard, his legs suddenly weak. He'd done it. Actually pulled it off. Chen would be arrested. Zola and Tendai would be safe, and he'd managed not to destroy himself in the process. When he told Zola and Jiwoo, they both looked stunned. Zola positioned herself where he could see her face. That's it? You're just free? He signed. For now. Detective Park made it clear he'll be watching. But yes, for now, I'm free. She signed back. We're free. All of us. That night, Chen was arrested at his hotel. The news showed him being led out in handcuffs, expensive suit rumpled, face furious. The reporter talked about an international trafficking ring, years of investigation finally paying off. Dae-jung watched it alone in his apartment, and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no triumph, just exhaustion and relief. His phone vibrated, a video call from his uncle. Dae-jung answered. His uncle's face appeared, positioned where Dae-jung could read his lips. That was you, wasn't it? Chen's arrest. Dae-jung signed simply. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play games. You're the only one with access to that kind of information. If you say so. His uncle's lips formed angry words. You've made powerful enemies, nephew. Dae-jung signed clearly so his uncle could see every movement. I've made powerful choices. There's a difference. The family won't forgive this. His hands moved sharply through the air. The family can do whatever they want. I'm done caring about their forgiveness. He ended the call and blocked the number. Then he blocked Min Jun's number, and his uncle's lawyer, and every single family member who'd spent years making him feel like he had to choose between being good and being strong. He chose both. And if that made him an enemy of the family, so be it. The next morning, when he went to Zola's apartment instead of the office, she answered the door in pajamas, Tendai on her hip. She positioned herself in the doorway, where he could see her face clearly as she spoke. Is everything okay? He signed. Everything's okay. Can I come in? They sat at her small kitchen table, while Tendai played with blocks on the floor. Dae-jung had rehearsed this conversation in his head, 17 different ways. But now that he was here, all the words disappeared. He pulled out his phone and typed, then showed her the screen. "I need to tell you something." She read it and signed. "Okay." He typed more. "When Tendai calls me Appa, I don't correct him anymore." Zola went very still. She signed slowly. "I noticed," he continued typing, "because it feels right. He feels like my son. You feel like more than my assistant, or my friend, or my business partner." She signed. "What do I feel like?" He typed carefully. "Like family. Like home. Like the person I want to build a life with, if you'll let me." She was quiet for so long he started to panic. Then she reached across the table and took his phone, typing her own message and showing it to him. "I thought you'd never say it," he signed. "Say what?" she typed. "That you love us. That you want this to be real." His hands moved through the air. "I do love you. Both of you. I have for months, but I was afraid to say it because everything in my life has always been temporary or conditional or tied to the family business. And you and Tendai, and you're the first thing that's ever felt permanent and unconditional and completely separate from all that darkness." Tendai looked up from his blocks. He signed matter-of-factly, "Appa talking a lot." They both laughed. The tension broke. Zola signed to Daijung, speaking the words clearly. "I love you too. We both do. And yes, I want to build a life with you. A real one. Even though my family hates me and the police are watching me, and I have no idea what I'm doing." She signed back. "Especially because of all that. We'll figure it out together." Tendai brought over a block, signing "Build Together." Zola signed, speaking simultaneously. "Yes, baby. We'll build together." And they did. Over the next 3 years, they built something none of them could have imagined that night, when Tendai first signed friend to a lonely man eating dinner alone. The Last Generation Foundation grew. They helped 200 kids the second year, 500 the third. Kids from immigrant families, kids with parents trapped in bad situations, kids who just needed someone to believe they could be more than their circumstances. Zola ran it with fierce intelligence and deep compassion. She hired Rudo when her sister finished her degree. Together, they built programs that didn't just give money, but gave hope. Daejung transitioned all his remaining businesses to completely legitimate operations. It took years and cost him millions, but he did it. Some days, he missed the power of his old life. Most days, he was just grateful to be free of it. His family cut him off completely. His uncle tried a few times to cause trouble, but Detective Park's attention kept them at bay. Eventually, they just pretended he didn't exist. Minjun moved to Singapore, and they never spoke again. Daejung was okay with that. He'd found better family anyway. Tendai started school. They enrolled him in a program with both hearing and deaf students, where he could use his signs freely. He made friends easily. That little boy who'd called a stranger friend, and changed 3 lives forever. One evening, 3 years after Chen's arrest, Daejung sat at table 7 in his restaurant. But this time, he wasn't alone. Zola sat across from him, Tendai between them in a booster seat, and Rudo was there too with her new girlfriend. They were loud and happy and arguing about what to order. Tendai was signing everything to everyone who would pay attention, his hands moving constantly. "More water, please, Appa." "Mama, can I have dessert?" "Auntie Rudo, look at this napkin." The server brought their food and smiled at them, speaking clearly so Daejung could read her lips. Beautiful family. Daejung looked around the table. At Zola, who'd demanded honesty and given him courage. At Tendai, who'd seen a lonely stranger and offered friendship. At Rudo, who'd threatened him once and now called him brother. He signed and spoke. Yes, they are. After dinner, walking to the car with Tendai between them, holding both their hands, Zola positioned herself where Daijun could see her face in the streetlight. "I've been thinking about something." He gestured for her to continue. She signed as she spoke. We should make it official. The three of us. Adopt Tendai together. Get married. Whatever that looks like. Make our family legal on paper, not just in our hearts." Daejung stopped walking. He signed. "Are you asking me to marry you?" She signed back, smiling. "I'm asking if you want to make this permanent. All of it. The foundation, the family, the life we're building. No more pretending you're just my boss or Tendai's friend. Actually commit." Tendai looked up at both of them. He signed with complete seriousness. "Say yes, Appa." Daejung signed to him. "How do you even know what we're talking about?" "I'm smart. Say yes." Zola laughed and signed. "You heard the kid. Say yes." Daejung knelt so he was at Tendai's level. He signed clearly. "If I say yes, does that mean you're stuck with me forever?" Tendai's little hands formed the signs. "Not stuck. Choose. I choose you. Mama chooses you. You choose us?" Such a simple question. Such an easy answer. He signed. "I choose you. Both of you. Forever." Tendai threw his arms around Daejung's neck. Zola knelt too and wrapped her arms around both of them. Right there on the sidewalk, people walking past, cars driving by. They held each other and made promises through their hands. Forever. Together. Family. 6 months later, they had a small wedding in the restaurant. Table 7 was moved aside to make room for chairs. 30 people came. Friends from the foundation. Families they'd helped. Jiwoo, who cried through the whole ceremony. Rudo, who gave a speech about Ubuntu that made everyone else cry too. Tendai was the ring bearer. He took his job very seriously, walking slowly down the aisle, signing "Love, love, love" the whole way so everyone could see. When Daejung and Zola said their vows, they said them in 3 languages: Korean, English, and sign. So everyone could understand. So no one was left out. Zola signed and spoke, her hands moving gracefully through the air. "I promise to choose you every day, to build with you, to stand with you, to love you and the family we're creating together." Daejung signed and spoke carefully, his trained voice carrying through the room while his hands formed the words in the air. "I promise to be worthy of that choice, to protect what we're building, to be the father Tendai deserves, to love you both with everything I am." Tendai, standing between them, added his own vow with solemn 4-year-old seriousness. Then he signed clearly, "I promise to be good. Mostly." Everyone laughed. The officiant pronounced them married. They kissed while Tendai made exaggerated, disgusted faces, and their friends cheered and signed their congratulations. That night, after the celebration ended and the restaurant closed, and they went home to the apartment they'd bought together in a safe neighborhood far from Gangnam, Daejung stood in Tendai's doorway, watching Zola tuck him in. She signed to their son. "Big day." Tendai signed back sleepily. "Best day. Now we're family for real." "We were always family for real, baby." "I know. But now it's official. Appa said so." He was already falling asleep, his small hand still moving through the signs, even as his eyes closed. Zola kissed his forehead and turned off the light. In their own room later, lying in the dark, she rolled over to face him. The moonlight from the window let him see her face, her lips as she spoke. "Do you ever miss it? Your old life?" He signed in the dim light. "No, never. Not even a little? The power? The money? The fear?" His hands moved slowly, thoughtfully. "I have power now. The power to help people instead of control them. I have money, enough to do good with. And the only fear I have is of losing this. Losing you and Tendai. You won't lose us." "How do you know?" She signed clearly in the moonlight. "Because we choose you, every single day. We choose you. It was the truest thing anyone had ever said to him. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment telling me what you thought. And share this with someone who needs a reminder that it's never too late to choose a better life. See you in the next story. Keep choosing love.